We're doing it already. Victor Gyokeres scores for Arsenal. And I've got to say, it was a phenomenal goal. It was one that I've never seen anything like before. Probably one of the greatest I've ever seen. Okay, yeah, I'm overreacting. It was a very good goal, but it feels like that. The amount of rivals that are given Arsenal fans stick over the last couple of friendlies because Victor Gyokeres didn't score in 17 minutes against Spurs and in 50 against Villarreal. Nothing was going his way. Well, there's some individuals today that I want to mention, and he is one of them. Big up to everyone that's here. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Make sure that you get us towards the big 50K and you've hit that QR code. Match Bingo is underway. And you know what? For Old Trafford, get involved for Match Bingo. Trust me, people are winning money. You need to get it downloaded, get it loaded up, credit to your account, and you're underway. It's automatic. You don't need the old school dabbers. You don't need cards. All you need is the app. It does it all for you automatically through the game, and you can just watch them get ticked off. So make sure Match Bingo is a part of your everyday. Hit like and subscribe. We're on the way to 50K, and Arsenal today 3-0. The match reaction for me is quite simple. I'll be brutally honest. I didn't see much of the first half. But what I did see was Zubimendi, Victor Gyokeres, Bukayo Saka, Martin Odegaard, and Gabriel Martinelli for both goals looking pretty lively. I've got to be honest. I thought Zubimendi was one of the best players on the pitch. I've got to be honest. I think this player is going to be a hit. Now, I know that there was definitely people saying that maybe he's not as good as Partey, and I was one of those because I think Thomas Partey has been great for Arsenal over the last few years. He is definitely a different type of player. He doesn't have the physical attributes of Thomas Partey. I don't think that he has the natural ability that he had in terms of how casual he looks, but I tell you what he is. He is someone who can get on the ball and make things happen. He literally wants the ball in any area of the pitch. And I want to concentrate on the midfield before I start talking about the attack today. I thought it was brilliant in the midfield today because Rice was dropping deeper. Now, he covered every blade of grass, and he was definitely one that gives the work rate, the box-to-box, the engine. We know this from Rice. That's not going to change, and I don't want that to change. But I thought Declan Rice was dropping deeper alongside Zubimendi today. I saw more of a double pivot is what I've been crying out for in the last couple of videos I've done with DG and Igal and other people on other shows talking about why we need a double pivot this season. I liked what I saw. I really did. And I thought that Zubimendi was probably my man of the match. I thought he was really good. And everything that he did looked like it was positive as well. You know, when you get a defensive midfielder that keeps it simple, somebody who does their job, maybe a Mohamed El Neni or a Jorginho, keeps things ticking, gives you a certain balance in midfield, provides you with some level of tempo that you need. I think Zubimendi does all of that plus more. And you know what's impressed me the most about Zubimendi is I don't really feel like he gets pushed off the ball like some people thought he was going to. He doesn't look weak in midfield. He doesn't look like a player that's going to get bullied. He doesn't look like a player that, uses his technical ability to try and get himself out of trouble, because I feel like he hasn't really been in trouble yet. Every time I've seen him, he's impressed me. And I think out of all of the new signings, he's certainly the one so far that looks ready to slide into this team. I don't think that he's going to need much of a period of time to get used to it. I don't think he's going to need much time to settle in. I don't think that people appreciate sometimes how many weeks or games it can take when someone comes from Spain, Portugal, or Italy to come and get himself settled into the Premier League, but he's certainly done that. And I think that him and Rice today complemented each other quite well. I didn't see Rice as high up as I like to see, as some people like to see. I personally prefer him tackling, being that destroyer, off the ball stuff, getting into battles. It's fine to win it high up the pitch, but for me, I think what Rice was doing today was a lot of the work dropping in deeper. What I also liked from the midfield today was I felt like at times Zubimendi and Rice were two pistons of an engine. A little bit similar to what I've said in the past about Gilberto Silva and Vieira, where they were doing that in our Invincible season. I feel like Mikel Arteta needs to kind of look at that and think, yeah, that's what's needed to happen. And I can appreciate why you couldn't do that with Thomas Partey. That just wasn't, it just wasn't available to do that. There was no, for me anyway, I didn't feel like there was the athleticism, I suppose, on the ball with Thomas Partey as much as there is with Zubimendi. I thought he was excellent at winning the ball back today as well, Zubimendi. I think his passing was good. It looked like there was a lot more 1-2s. I liked to see the triangles that were happening, which is something I feel they've lacked, if I'm honest. So today was a lot more positive. I mean, I'd like to have seen it more positive when I saw the team. I thought the team news was very interesting. The lineup, I think, will probably be similar to the one that starts at Old Trafford. Lewis Skelly got a rest, which maybe was a question mark. Madueke, a lot of people wanted to see playing. Martinelli got the nod. But other than that, I think everything else was pretty much as we expected. I wanted to see Timber and Gabriel get games, and they did. Obviously, they switched around. Ben White went into right back. Timber went into left back, which was very interesting. I thought he was excellent today, Timber. Really good. I just think his athleticism is unbelievable. I think you forget sometimes how consistent he was last season and the fact that he's come back from an injury this season, but previously had come back from an ACL and you wouldn't know. He's been so good. Saliba, very good. Gabriel getting a run of games looked a hell of a lot less rusty than he did against Villarreal, in my opinion, but that was maybe understandable, considering he's come back from a long-term injury. Mosquera, really like the look of this player, people. I've got to be honest. Really like the look of this player. I think he's going to be a talent, if I'm honest with you. And then we move to the attack. Martin Odegaard in parts today. I saw glimpses of passes. I saw some vision. Thought the weight of his pass at times is a little bit off, and some of his decision making at times was still questionable. I still think he slows the game down a hell of a lot sometimes, and it's just everything he does is in slow motion at times. It frustrates the life out of me. I've got to be honest. However, I saw a lot from the attack that I liked today. The goals itself, I mean, the first goal actually was Zubamendi who created it. It was a brilliant bit of play down the right-hand side. Zubamendi puts the ball in, and Gyokeres gets his head on it. Now, we all wanted to see this. We got to see it. We got to see it quicker than a lot of people imagined. And I know I said this earlier, but I'll say it again. Rival fans, hold that, because he's obviously going to score goals for us. It isn't going to be a player that waits 10, 20 games before he scores a goal for Arsenal. He's going to play in the team and definitely have an opportunity to score goals. What I will say about Gyokeres' play was I actually thought he was a hell of a lot more involved today. Now, I don't know if that's just solely the players around him lifted, because I think that was true, but I actually think he did a hell of a lot more. I thought he got involved more. I thought he dropped a bit deeper with the ball. And I said this on the fan cam against Villarreal. I said, I think he needs to drop deep to get the ball. We don't want him dropping deeper. No, I don't really want him dropping deeper. If I'm honest, I agree. However, I think he did a little bit today at times because he felt like he just needed to get into the game more at times. And I think that was a good thing. Now, when Kai Havertz dropped deep, he sometimes gets in the way, or he doesn't really link up play well. When Gyokeres was dropping deep, it was to get involved. It wasn't to just make an option. It was actually dropping deep to win back the ball, or it was dropping deep to do 1-2s with Odegaard. And I felt like that was good today. So he took his goal well. Obviously, it was a header. He had another chance as well, which I can't believe he missed. Again with a header, hit the post. And people said he wasn't an aerial threat. Well, he is. He's obviously scored a header there. He should have scored 2 headers today. So that's another option that we've got there when we're putting balls into the box, which is something that we know Arsenal are loving at the moment. And then we come to Bukayo Saka. I'm going to say it. I think he's the most disrespected footballer in the Premier League. I really do. I think people disrespect Mo Salah sometimes and say that, he's not as great as he is. He clearly is. I think they do the same with Bukayo Saka. I think they expect Bukayo Saka to be Messi levels every single game. He's not going to be. He's come back from an injury. He's had a couple of quieter games. I thought he was good against AC Milan and Newcastle, if I'm honest. I thought he was one of our better players. And today I thought he was involved. There was a couple of times where he maybe could have done better when he went through in goal. And there was a couple of times where he was in 2 minds. But I think we're starting to see the Bukayo Saka we want to be seeing, if I'm honest, because it's going to take some time. We had to brush up some cobwebs. He had to get into the swing of things, and I think he's done that now. Interested on the left-hand side today, I've got to bring it up. I thought Madueke looked more of a threat than Martinelli. And what was quite refreshing, although it didn't come off every time, was he was actually beating his man, which is what we've told he can do. I don't think Madueke is going to be a right-sided backup to Saka. I think he's going to start on the left wing. I think he's going to compete with Martinelli. He was asked last week, Arteta, what is Madueke's role? He said he can play right and left. He's not played him on the right at all yet. Now, some of the people will say that's because Ethan and Max Dowman have been there to back up Bukayo Saka, but I truly believe what we need to be doing in the coming weeks is looking at Eze and the left winger. And I'm not sure that we're going to be doing that. I think Madueke might be the left winger and Eze might be coming in as a kind of attacking midfielder. I could be wrong, but it's very interesting how he's utilising Madueke at the moment, isn't it? So I thought he had a good part of the game, if I'm honest. I thought he looked quite threatening. There wasn't anything that came off that was outstanding. There was a couple of moments in the game where I thought, you need to do better there. My only concerns with Madueke is he looks very one-footed. Everything is with his left foot. It doesn't look like he wants to try and use his right. It doesn't look like he wants to cut inside on his right hand, on his right foot, or from the left hand side. It looks like he wants to move it, with his left inside, or go and beat his man out on the outside with his left foot. But it gives us something different to Martinelli. He's very different to Martinelli. Martinelli wants to go inside his man. Madueke wants to go on the outside. And I think that's two different players that he will utilize from the left. And I think Madueke might actually play a lot more than people are suggesting from the left wing. I still do feel that he can play as backup for Saka there, but I think Mikel Arteta wants him to play on the left more, because it looks clear to me that we can look at that as being, potentially something that we're going to see on the left-hand side with Madueke. Do you know what I'll say? Big up to Kai Havertz. Do you know why? Not because of how he played, because of his goal. He took that goal so well. If that was Victor Gyokeres, we'd all be saying, that's why we bought a number 9. So as much as I don't want Kai Havertz to be the number 9, and I don't like to big him up and say, wow, because people might think I'm being hypocritical and, oh my God, you're a flip-flop. I've got to give credit where credit's due. I thought he took his goal exceptionally well. He went through one-on-one. He headed it on. He made his touch right. He shuffled with the defender. He struggled with the defender. He outmuscled the defender. And it was a cold finish. I imagine most Arsenal fans were doing one of two things. Oh my God, he's going to miss. Or, oh my God, please don't miss. I don't think anybody went through thinking, oh, Havertz has scored. I certainly didn't. So I think you've got to give him credit when he does that. This is what we want to be seeing. Is it because Victor Gyokeres is now here and he's been very good today? Is he now feeling the pressure and he's like, I ain't going to miss this. I'm going on my favoured left foot. I'm going to fly at home and give Arteta the decision to make next weekend. Kai Havertz will want to start at the weekend. I don't think he should. I think it should be Victor Gyokeres. And I like to think that it will be Victor Gyokeres. But Kai Havertz will want to play. There's no denying that. He won't be thinking, well, Gyokeres is here now. I'm never going to get a game again. He's going to be thinking, well, I'm the number 9 at the moment. I need him not to waltz in. I need to make it difficult. And you know what? Today with finishes like that, fair play to him. We've got to give the guy credit. Then it went to another penalty shootout. If I'm honest with you, I thought every single penalty was pretty good from the home team and the away team. Other than Ethan, obviously, who's guided it. David Raya finally made a penalty save. I mean, he was doing his best at times. He did make one, which was good. And then, of course, we've got Havertz, good penalty. Saka, good penalty. Saliba as well, by the way, I must say. Very good penalty. So I think it's been interesting. Zubimendi wins the tournament for us. It's been interesting to see the penalty shootouts. One thing I did question was why David Raya had not had an opportunity yet at a penalty shootout until today, because obviously Kepa had been in goal previously saving penalties. Finally, David Raya makes a penalty save. He obviously did against Porto a couple of seasons ago in the Champions League. He did, of course, against Atlanta last season for double penalty save. So he can save penalties, but it hasn't been great against Manchester United and other penalty shootouts in the past. For me, I thought it was a hell of a lot more positive today. There was a lot I liked about the performance in terms of passing in triangles. There was a moment where Zubimendi, Ødegaard, Madueke, and Saka were all involved in passing in triangles. And I thought, this is something we haven't seen for a long time. So, I've got to big up somebody today. And, he's been on the channel a couple of times and people have been laughing at him. I've got to big up Igal because he told me, just watch what happens when the first 11 get together. And I was much more impressed today. I love Timber. I love seeing Ben White in and around the team. I think Saliba and Gabriel are a phenomenal partnership. We saw David Raya looking better today. Zubimendi looked excellent. Rice looked better when he was in a deeper role. Obviously, today, Ødegaard was trying to do his best. I think his work rate and his intensity has never been questioned. His press has never been questioned. It's his technical ability. At times, it didn't quite come off at times, but it was better than it has been. I thought Saka was good today. Martinelli and Madueke obviously struggling for that position on the left and both showing glimpses of quality today. Gyokeres, definitely an improvement, and Havertz as well with the goal. So we have to be positive when credit's due, right, guys? We can't sit there and start questioning what's going on here. There will be some people saying, still not convinced, and I can understand that. It's a hard 6 games. But I'll finish on this. Let's see what the reaction is like now. Is it only pre-season now? Is it time to panic still? Is it relax, it's just a friendly? But now we've won. let's see what the fan base reaction is. I genuinely want to see it because I'm very black and white. I'm pissed off if we lose, and I'm happy when we win. So I'm positive today because we've got a very convincing win against a fairly good side. The other night, I wasn't too convinced because we lost against a Villarreal side that I thought we should have beaten. I'm never happy when you lose to Spurs. And I wasn't going mad when we beat Newcastle and AC Milan because I didn't think it was wow. It is only a friendly. It is only pre-season. I understand why people need to keep their feet on the ground. However, I was impressed today. I actually looked today thinking much better. Not wow with a complete article yet, but certainly much better. Zubamendi and Gyokeres both kind of teeing up the first goal is the perfect first goal to score, really. So I'm interested to see what happens. We got to get ready for Old Trafford. Big up, people. Hit the like button. Make sure you hit subscribe. And I will see you on the next one. Victor Gyokeres is a gooner. Latest, people. We're out of here.